Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. In this program today, we will be discussing about the change of guard in Jammu and Kashmir and what it means. Jammu and Kashmir is witnessing a sudden change at the top. C Murmu has abruptly resigned as Lieutenant Governor and BJP leader Manoj Sinha has been appointed as his successor in the sensitive Union Territory. Significantly, the change of guard coincides with the first anniversary of abolition of Article 370. What does this major change mean for Jammu and Kashmir? What will Manoj Sinha, with a political background, do which Murmu, a bureaucrat, could not do? We will discuss such questions in the agenda today with BJP's J&K Chief Spokesperson Sunil Sethi and political analyst Inamud Nabi. But before we welcome our special guests and start the conversation, let us have a look at this small report.
BJP leader and former Union Minister Manoj Sinha today took over as the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, marking a change of guard in the sensitive Union Territory after C Murmu suddenly resigned 2 days back. Soon after taking over, Sinha made it clear that he would like to address genuine grievances of people without any bias. Speaking to the media, he said, there is a need for instilling confidence among the common people of Jammu and Kashmir in democracy. He said he would take forward the process of development with speed and vigor. Sending up Manoj Sinha, a political face to Jammu and Kashmir, is seen as a move to increase the connect between the government and the common people, as there has been a feeling of political vacuum, especially in the Kashmir Valley under bureaucrat Murmu. Manoj Sinha has been a Lok Sabha MP and a member of the BJP's top leadership panel, the National Council. He was a Minister of State for Railways and Telecom during the first term of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now it is hoped that Sinha would be successful in ushering in peace and development in Jammu and Kashmir as promised by the central government while abolishing its special status. Murmu, the first Lieutenant Governor of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, resigned on Wednesday night, setting off buzz and speculation over the sudden development. Murmu, a 1985 batch IS officer from Gujarat cadre, was the Lieutenant Governor since October 31st last year, when the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir came into being after being converted from a state. His resignation coincided with the first anniversary of abolition of special status of Jammu and Kashmir granted under Article 370. Murmu, who hails from Odisha, was considered a close confidant of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He had worked closely with Modi for over a decade when the latter was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Murmu's departure from Jammu and Kashmir follows criticism that his handling of affairs had increased the distance between the government and people. There has been criticism that grievance redressal of the common people was a casualty under the administration headed by the bureaucrat turned Lieutenant Governor. Bureau Report.
Let me begin the conversation with Mr. Sethi. Mr. Sethi, how do you see this situation that Mr. Murmu suddenly resigns at LG and Mr. Manoj Sinha is being appointed as his replacement?
I'll say that Mr. Murmu, for the time when he was Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, he has worked very wonderfully. He was the person who was really delivering the things. But in the changed scenario, because it is the government's perception now, in the changed scenario, maybe we are putting the political process back on road. And it was a general feeling that bureaucratic setup was probably not that much connected with the people as it should have been. So, Mr. Manoj Sinha, who's coming as Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, not only that he is a political person affiliated with BJP, but he has got very rich experience. He remained a union minister earlier, and as union minister, he has performed exceedingly well. And with his coming as Lieutenant Governor, we see that there will be a responsive government which will be more connected with the people.
Mr. Sethi, there are several questions. Since you represent the ruling party, there are several questions. Why did Murmu resign suddenly? And as you said just now that there is a change scenario. What is the change scenario?
Because you have to understand that sooner or later we will be going for elections also. The delimitation process is already underway. The people have to be connected with the administration. The benefits which are coming out of the governance should not only go to the people, but it should also seem like going a feeling in the people that bureaucracy is probably not connected with the people. That was not good for the system which was working in Jammu and Kashmir. Putting a political person in place will mean that there will be more connection with the people. It will be more a people-friendly administration. Though the delivery was there earlier also, but more connection with the people was what was needed. And I think in that context, a very good decision of putting Mr. Sinha as in charge of the administration in Jammu and Kashmir.
So are you suggesting that democratic process is going to begin and maybe elections will be held sooner than later?
No, elections have to be held. See, the delimitation process is already going on. Elections will be held in Jammu and Kashmir as early as possible. As early as, I can't fix the time frame because it is not my job, it is the job of the Election Commission of India. But after the delimitation process is over, I think there should be no reason for non-holding of the elections in Jammu and Kashmir, and by that time, the security scenario will also change considerably in favor of holding of the elections.
Mr. Sethi, there are several questions. I mean, there are some allegations or there are some murmurs that Murmu had a tiff with the bureaucracy, and bureaucracy was apparently not allowing him to work, or maybe he didn't have good equation with the bureaucracy. What would you like to say on that?
No, I won't agree with that because Murmu himself was from bureaucracy only. Before becoming Lieutenant Governor here, he was a part of the bureaucracy, higher bureaucracy. Under him, the bureaucracy was delivering. See, my perception of the things are that bureaucracy was delivering, but connection with the people was not as is desirable. For having an administration which is more connected with the people, which is more amenable to the people, which is having more dialogue with the people, it was required that a person with political background, he comes up and takes the charge. And I think in coming days, the bureaucracy will be performing much better now.
So why was it happening that the government or the LG did not have a connect with the people? Was he too reticent or not meeting people? I think he had recently started meeting people and going out, isn't it?
No, I'm not saying about Lieutenant Governor only. I'm saying generally about the bureaucratic setup. See, for last about 1 year or so, we had put the administration of Jammu and Kashmir in the hands of bureaucrats. You talk about the Lieutenant Governor, you talk about the advisors, everybody was basically bureaucrats only. Some from police services, some from administrative services. But the connection with the people, that was supposed to be much more than what was actually happening. And with a new dispensation now coming, where a political person with vast administrative experience also is now in charge of the administration as Lieutenant Governor, the results will be there on the ground.
Mr. Sethi, if you take a view of the last 1 year since special status of J&K has been abolished, there has been criticism that political process or political people have been suppressed, and even people are still demanding 4G. How do you comment on that? What will you like to comment on that?
There are two angles to your question. One is the freedom, the so-called freedom to the political leaders, and second is the issue of the 4G. See, taking your first part of the question, there is no unnecessary restriction on any political leader. To the perception of the administration, to the perception of the agencies which are put on duty to maintain normalcy in Jammu and Kashmir, to bring back Jammu and Kashmir to normalcy security-wise, it is their decision that whether the liberty of a person should be given primacy over the lives of the people. If in this scenario the administration take a decision that there is required to be some restriction put upon the liberty of a person for general good of the masses, then I don't find anything wrong in that decision. The decisions which have been taken in curtailing liberty of few people, but ensuring life security to general masses, that is a good bargain. Number two, you are talking about 4G. Again, let me give an answer to that very clearly. Non-assumption of 4G services in Jammu and Kashmir, I understand that is causing some inconvenience to the public, particularly during this COVID-19 times. But we have also to appreciate through what situation Jammu and Kashmir is presently going through. For last 1 year, the security scenario has improved many-fold. Now, there are very less encounters because most of the leadership of the militancy, those have been cleared. Almost all the commanders of the militant organizations have been killed. Now you see loss of the public life, the civilians, whether in the encounters or encounters, or the losses to the masses because of the stone pelting and then the incidents to control the stone pelting and everything, that has stopped. So we have to break the communication. We are not breaking the communication between public to public. We are breaking the communication within militant ranks. From militant to militant, there is no communication because 4G setup is not there. So that has resulted into rich dividend in maintaining the security scenario in Jammu and Kashmir. And I think, again, that is a good bargain. 4G services should be resumed in Jammu and Kashmir as early as possible, particularly in those areas where there is no major threat to the security and the peace. But ultimately, the decision has to be taken in the interest of the country only.
I agree with you that the national security has to get the primacy. But how will you explain? People of Jammu are actually, you must hail from Jammu. People of Jammu are saying that there is no terrorism here, there is no unrest here. So why is 4G denied to Jammu region? So how will you explain that?
You cannot see everything in a very shorter, in a narrow context. You have to look at the broader side. Jammu traditionally has been the route of the militants going to Kashmir. You have many incidents in many years in the past where the traditional routes to go to Kashmir Valley for the militants coming from Pakistan is from Jammu province only. So you have to break their communication here also. And if you had you restored 4G services earlier in Jammu, probably you would have seen a worse scenario in Jammu and Kashmir, in Jammu region also for security. So I think the decision to stop 4G services in Jammu also was taken in the interest of the security of the state. We can't have that information which is available to the agencies who are taking the decision. See, as a layman, me or you, we are taking only into the consideration what is apparent to us. But there are many things which are not apparent to us, which is the information available to the security agencies who are taking the decision on.
I agree, the security agencies know much more than we know, but there are some questions about, as you mentioned, about political detainees. They had to be put under detention so that there is no escalation of violence or something. But there are some political leaders like former Union Minister Saifuddin Soz. He is still crying that I am in detention, I am under detention. So is he a threat to security?
See, so far as Professor Saifuddin Soz is doing, that is typically what we call in our in state a drama. He is not under detention. He is keeping himself under detention. He doesn't want to come out of his house. He is interested in standing on his door and then getting his videos recorded and giving a message to everybody that I am detained. The agencies are very clear, the administration is very clear that we have not detained him, he is free to go anywhere. Despite the fact that he is free to go anywhere, he doesn't want to go anywhere. What should we do with this? So Professor Soz or any other person, against whom there is no detention order, there is no unnecessary restriction on anybody. The persons who are threat to the security of the state, the persons who are threat to the public order, those have been detained. The persons who have been detained, there is legitimate exercise of the powers in restricting their movements, in restricting their activities. For others against whom the detention order is not there, we are not interested in keeping any unnecessary or illegal constraints upon them.
Okay, now we are joined by Inamudabi because of all communication problems faced in Jammu and Kashmir. We had problems in connecting with him. Now he has joined us. Inamudabi, how do you see the change of guard in J&K? So, as you said, Mr. Soos himself is keeping himself under detention, but he has issued a statement even 2 days back that I am not allowed to go out. So, is he lying or who is lying? Because the government said in the Supreme Court also that he is not under detention.
Please ask him because he has the availability of cameras and video cameras with him. Please ask him to move out of his door and see who is stopping him. Let him come out of his house, let him come out of his door and see who is stopping him. Once the administration is on the record saying that we are not putting any restriction upon him, and the person still says that there is restriction, so what to do? Let him prove. Let him prove by coming out. If he comes out in a peaceful manner, if he doesn't say anything against the nation, against the security of the state, there is no problem. Many other Congress leaders are moving around. Nobody is stopping them.
Okay, Mr. Sethi, let me ask you again, in fact, what has changed in last 1 year after special status of J&K was abolished?
So if you ask me, I'll say one achievement in last 1 year, in the hands of the people, there were stones earlier, now in the hands of the people, there is tricolor. That is the change in last 1 year. Before 5th of August 2019, you will find hundreds, maybe thousands of the people with the stones in their hand doing the stone pelting upon the security forces on the instigation and after getting the money from the Pakistan people. Now, the same people are holding tricolor in their hands. Yesterday, you can see on the social media, it is viral everywhere, this arm admi, a common man in the street in Kashmir, not only in Srinagar, our main centers, everywhere in the rural area also, they were having the flags in their hands, the national flags in their hands, chanting slogans in favor of India. Don't you think this is a small, this is a big change? There is a change in the attitude of the people, how the people see now the Kashmir problem.
So when the government took the decision to end the special status, it said that it will usher in peace and development. But we keep saying militant attack, terror attack. Your BJP Sarpanch was killed in Kulgam. So how do you see those terror incidents are continuing?
Kulsab, isolated attacks will be there. Even after complete peace returns, you can't rule out isolated attacks. But you have to see what is the general perception of the general condition of the peace. General condition of peace in the state now is much, much better than what it was before 5th of August 2019. The people now are, you look to how many casualties of the citizens have taken place during this time. It is okay, BJP is being targeted because we are doing the political activity in Kashmir region. Only BJP is existing as a political party in Kashmir now. I'm not talking about Jammu, I'm talking about Kashmir. In Kashmir, only Bharatiya Janata Party is politically existing. Our workers are working on the ground and we are being targeted, but are we going away anywhere? Are we running away? No. Even after killing of our leader Wasim Bari, our activities didn't stop. It increased. Our one more leader has been martyred, but that will make our resolve more strong. We are stronger now. BJP cannot be called on like this. And isolated attacks will not mean that the security scenario is bad. It is much, much better. If you go on the ground, you see the change. It will not take much time before the normalcy is completely returned to the valley. and it will be a lasting peace this time. It will not be a peace like earlier situation when the peace is there for some time, maybe month, 2 months, and then again the violence starts. Now, when the violence will stop, it will end. There will be no return to the violence.
Okay, now we are joined by Inamun Nabi, political analyst. Mr. Nabi, how do you see the change of guard in J&K?
See, we have not seen any impact of changing of guard right from August last year. After the abrogation, let me apprise your good self that we are losing 135 to 150 crore in business community, which is still continuing. Not only this, I am not quoting the capital business capital amount. I am quoting the daily losses. Besides that, you see the economical losses in the transport sector. You see the losses in the tourism sector. So there is no impact. Number one. Number second, there is complete absence of democratic process. Democratic process includes the political process as well. Besides, it involves the debates and discussions, the voice of dissent, which is the essence of any democracy. So there is complete absence. If BJP is active, that doesn't mean that BJP is the only political party or BJP has only right to carry out the political activities. Other political activists are also there. Other political parties are also there. Government must allow them. Now it is a UT. Now you claim many things, but practically, believe me, as a person from the ground who meets people daily, even today also, there is no impact on ground. There is no reach out from the government. There are hundreds of grievances. There are lots of issues here pertaining to the governance. There is no improvement in governance. This is what we have been facing, and we are still facing.
So just before you joined, the BJP's chief spokesperson was saying that maybe Manoj Sinha, he's a political leader, he has been brought there to maybe give a push to political process and democratic process. How do you see that?
See, we can only hope. Other than hope, we have no option. But believe me, before man and God, we are suffering like anything. There is no governance. There is absence of governance. There is a huge gap between the government and the public. Nobody is acting the bridge. There is a huge gap between the bureaucracy and the government. There is absence of the political process and political structure in the UT now, and it is damaging. It is damaging the institution of the democracy. It is damaging it. Believe me, we have been trying very hard to build the institutions, to build to increase the credibility of the democratic institutions, but in absence of political process, in absence of the dissent voice, in absence of the political activities, and in absence of the good governance, somewhere our government in New Delhi, they are eroding the credibility of the democratic institution in Jammu and Kashmir.
So why don't you see it like this? Maybe the government of India realized that the political process is not being given impetus under Murmu, so they have now appointed a political leader as a Lieutenant Governor. Maybe it is they have understood that there is problem.
Absolutely, we welcome Mr. Sinha as the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir. We are hopeful. He's a political person. He know what ground means. He is private to political situations as well. We are hopeful that he will bridge the gap. He will meet public at least. He will address the grievances of the public. Especially, you see, our transport sector is blocked from post special abrogation of Article 370. Our transport sector is suffering like anything. Nobody has reached it from the government to them. That is the irony. You see the horticulture, you see other sectors, other tourism sector as well. So there is absence when we are hopeful. Now Mr. Sinha is a political personality, renowned personality. We are hopeful that he may bridge the gap between the government and the people.
As a Kashmiri political analyst and as a maybe common Kashmiri, what would you like him to do? Or what would you expect him to do?
First, there should be accountability. There should be accountability if you made, which we welcome, if you made the political parties accountable here, like you jailed many politicians for corruption cases, we welcome that. Simultaneously, bureaucrats should be also made accountable. There are bureaucrats who made huge money from last 30 years. Nobody is taking action against them. Illegal construction, many other things. Accountability is very important, number one. Number second, there should be reach out. Political process should be started. Every political party should be allowed to carry out its political activities we should focus on the governance. Governance should reach out to the public. They should feel the difference. They should feel the difference. There is absence of governance. There is no governance, rather you can say it. And you cannot, even if you want today to meet anybody, you don't know when to meet and where to meet. Even secretariat is out of civilian population here. They are not allowing people to enter the civil secretariat, either in Jammu nor they are allowing in Srinagar as well. So this is the situation. This is the situation in the situation of the governance in Kashmir.
Government says that a lot has been achieved in this period. Lot of development has taken place. How do you react on that?
Sir, lot of development. Which development? They should feel ashamed by announcing that lot of development has been carried out. Let me quote you two important pivotal projects which our Prime Minister has announced. The AIMS and the Circular Road, two big projects announced by the Prime Minister. They have not been kick-started yet. There is no progress in those two projects which Honorable Prime Minister has announced. One can imagine those two projects which Prime Minister has announced, there is no progress of those two important projects. You can imagine, and other people, other friends here, they can imagine the fate of other local projects. When Prime Minister's announcement is not being regarded and respected, what will be the fate of those projects which the UT administration might have announced or started?
The government says there were several projects which were pending for decades and they have been completed. What do you say?
Sir, our Srinagar-Jammu highway, which is the highway of death and destruction, that used to remain closed for 15 days, weeks long, that still remains so. Our other projects, I am quoting the AIMS, Honorable Prime Minister announced, no progress. Our Circular Road, no progress. Our Srinagar-Baramula Road, no progress. If anybody is claiming, just ask that person to quote a single project which has completed or which is under process.
If you talk about democratic process, the government also says the panchayat elections were held and corporation elections were held and so many people got elected from across parties and even independents. What is your comment on that?
Democratic, that is true. Panchayats and municipal elections were held, but our democratic institutions doesn't stop such process only up to what we call Panchayat Raj institutions. You need to empower them. You need to address their issues. You come with me. I am inviting your camera team. I will arrange a meeting of Panchayat workers. Let you see. I was day before yesterday in a rural area. You see their problems as well. Nobody is there to address the issues of panchayats and panchayat institutions as well. You have done a panchayat elections, that is good thing, but simultaneously you need to carry forward the process. Did we had Zilla Parishad election? That was the next step. That is still pending. So what is the fun of having the panchayat institution when there is absence of Zilla Parishad?
Maybe because that was held up because of COVID or coronavirus maybe.
Coronavirus is from last 3 months. You cannot blame everything now on COVID. COVID is from only 3 months, from March onwards. I am talking before March.
Okay, we are running out of time. One last question. The killing of political sarpanches and others elected people continues in Kashmir. So how do you see this situation? Because this is suppressing the voice of people who want to come and maybe attend the grassroots level politics, no?
See, I condemn every killing here. We have been telling people from Srinagar to New Delhi that killings we won't get anything out of these killings. It will alienate further people. Whosoever is getting killed, whosoever is killing people. So killing, death and destruction, we need to stop. We need to have roadmap so that this cycle of death and destruction gets stopped. But unfortunately, nobody understands our appeal that we need to move beyond words. We need to do something practically. See, killing militants, killing people, killing militants is one thing and killing militancy is another thing. Government has been claiming killing the militants, but killing the militants and killing the militancy, but there is no move which can kill the militancy. We need to address the real issue. We need to address the militancy.
So how should militancy be killed as per you?
We need to address the issues by which they are forced to take to arms. We need to address those issues. There are many reports. You are running out of time. Otherwise, I would have quoted your report a few years before, after the killing of Burhan Wani. Jammu Kashmir police carried out a report. They were looking what were the reasons by which the people are joining militancy. You can go through these reports. You will come to know that 40-50% militancy we can stop by implementing few things on ground. So many things are in our hands, but we have been failing our people. We have failed till date. Let us accept all.
Okay, we will have a discussion, separate discussion on that. Thank you so much for participating. We hope that Kashmir will have peace someday and very sooner than later. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I will be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.